You know, Hollow Knight 2, uh, or Hollow Knight Silk Song, or Hollow Knight 2, whichever you want to call it, it's a bad game. It's, or should I say, it's being bad. Yeah, it's what it's doing is unbelievably toxic for the gaming community. I mean, how dare that game come out after 7 years of production, 7 or 6, and it comes out with a $20 price tag. That's ridiculous. How dare it does that? Like when every other game within the industry is doing everything they can to justify increasing the price tag on video games. How dare this game does that? And the fact that I didn't even know it was considered an indie title until recently, I thought the first Hollow Knight was a big deal AAA game because of the quality that it had. I didn't know that it was indie. If anything, I thought it'd be like double A or something. But I had no idea that it was an indie studio done by just 7 guys that um almost had, like, it's about like what is it, Team Cherry, is that the name of the company? Like there's about like 10 people or whatever, but I didn't know that they essentially made this game with so much content that was so beloved and so sought after that even after 7 years of production for their sequel, people just immediately rushed to go play it, and they loved every moment of it. That's horrible. That how dare they choose quality over quantity? And it was like, because I've always heard people ask for the next Hollow Knight. Like that's been a big deal, but here we are. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been in development longer than Duke Nukem Forever, yet Duke Nukem Forever, it was a problem when that was happening. Grand Theft Auto 6, everyone is just waiting on pins and needles, but we've yet to see any gameplay for Grand Theft Auto 6. And if you believe that Rocksteady is going to release this game without any bugs in it, it's ridiculous. It's going to have glitches, it's going to have bugs, it might even be unplayable at first. But they're still going to release it when they release it, if they do. But that's just what Rocksteady does. And so you're told to just be okay with functioning like that as a gamer, and that's what you're supposed to get. You're not supposed to get an actual good game fixed and well done with a cheap price tag attached to it. No, that's impossible. No, because Grand Theft Auto is a game that might be $100, and the fact that everyone is okay with that being a thing is perfectly logical. That's what's supposed to happen within gaming. That's how you're supposed to deal with stuff. Borderlands 4 came out as a mess. It has performance issues out the yin yang on PC, which is where a lot of people are actually trying to play the game, and they actually can't even afford the optimizations that you need in order to play a game that isn't even that photorealistic or high resolution in the first place. Yet it demands all of those concepts in order to work. That's what you're supposed to get. That's what gaming is supposed to be. Supposed to be expensive, ridiculous, and not and just intrusive to everything that you hold dear in order for it to function correctly. That's what you're supposed to get. But Hollow Knight Silksong, how dare they make a game that people wanted, and then they did it well, and then they made it affordable. That's just That's just And then for the indie circuit, like you understand how toxic Hollow Knight was for the indie circuit. I mean, think about it. It was an indie title that came out. They announced their release like in 2 weeks before they actually dropped the game, and no one could change when they were going to release games. And so even if your game was a completely different genre, it ruined you as an indie game, because that's how that works. Because people who would be interested in your game, that are willing to play your game, have basically no idea that that's even something that they would still do, regardless of what genre or concept that your game is in the indie circuit, because Hollow Knight Silksong came out, so you were immediately crushed. Because that's how gaming has worked. That's how indie titles have always worked. Whether or not something actually is good and it pops off and it gains popularity and traction, like the first Hollow Knight did, then that really isn't anything that bothers anyone, because indie titles for the longest have always kind of circumvented through the AAA title in the industry, considering the fact that AAA games have gone down in quality and the indie titles have been the far better fun and affordable games. So I think that that was part of the core, but no. I've been told that no, what Hollow Knight did was terrible and it should be considered terrible. Now, I'm someone who talked about the Avowed game being a crock of shit and anything and everyone associated with it and how it was going to handle being an RPG was just basically up their own ass with their goofy ass particular politics that they tried to put in over the actual game's functionality, and just typical RPG mechanics were non-existent in exchange for some of the goofiest gameplay and design that you could ever see. And then the game bombed and was terrible. But now I know that I was in the wrong, considering the fact that a lot of feedback I got from talking about that game and the different aspects that developers said about that game, that they were in the right. That's why it didn't make any money. But even though it didn't make any money, they were still in the right, because yeah, that game was supposed to be that way, because that's how the industry wants games to function like now. And seeing that that's what's still happening within the AAA title, when you see an indie title basically come and blow it out the water and prove everything that's currently happening within gaming wrong, that's when you know. It's when you know things are getting bad. How dare Hollow Knight do that? How dare they? How dare they? Now, this is something that's like just getting ridiculous in the sense, like, be for real now, but it's getting ridiculous in the sense that you have developers coming out of their way to tell people, or to basically just scream to the heavens, that Hollow Knight is an unrealistic game. This is the same shit that happened with Baldur's Gate 3. Remember that? Remember how Baldur's Gate 3 came out, blew everyone away with being a really good RPG and getting a lot of people into just D&D shit, and it's still a game with just a multitude of different play styles, playthroughs, and different things that you could figure out. It's a game that's a good game. And it's a well done game, and it's a game with choices, game with dynamics, game with interesting characters. And yet, the industry had a moment where developers were like, well, this game is unrealistic. And that's impossible because it exists. So how is it unrealistic? Yet, Hollow Knight Silksong is a game that came out and developers were like, this is unrealistic. And it's like, how is that possible? I'm pretty sure if they had a bigger studio, then Team Cherry would probably been able to make the game come out quicker, but it still would have the same repertoire, if you will, as it does now. The game would be a really good game that's fun, people would like to play, and it would be done, and it would be affordable, because they had no reason not to do that. They're going to make their money for the game. They put the passion behind the game, and the game came out. But then to have developers and other people within the industry tell you that what they did is essentially just bad, because there's no way you can just make a quality game. No, that's so unbelievably stupid. And then it's like, this is getting outrageous how the gaming community has always been functioning. I mean, everyone got quiet about the Stop Killing Games initiative, but I'll still talk about it, because I would like for that to pass, because I'm still a gamer and that's still something that would affect me. I might not be in the EU, but any notion of thinking, well, there's no point in doing anything because everything is just going to be the way it is. And it's like, that's bitch mentality. That's clearly bitch mentality, right? Like, I've seen people comment on my videos talking about Stop Killing Games, being like, well, there's really no point in, doing anything about it because it's for the EU. And it's like, well, the EU is a big part of gaming as a whole. And so if they change the laws, then games would have to circumvent to fit within their laws as well as everyone else. And so that's not a deal breaker. So it's okay to to enforce or to back this stuff. And it's like every little bit helps as long as it's in the way of justice, on the right path, if it's doing good, if it's doing well. So to just immediately dismiss or disprove all that shit, and it's like, no, I'm someone who's I will refuse to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 because of the predatory bullshit that Nintendo is doing. I have no need to purchase their games and whatnot. It's like they some of them might be fun, some might be interesting, but it's just not in the cards right now. So why even bother? I'm not someone who has essentially throwaway income to just waste on shit like that. So yeah, nah. And I look at things like that and I was just like, oh man, nah. But Hollow Knight Silksong, that's not even a game I would play. A Metroidvania, Souls-like. So essentially, what is it? What do they call it now? A Metro Souls? It became its own genre because it's just like hard. Like it just got hard ass bosses and everything, but it's a Metroidvania. And that's not a game I'll be interested in. But I do support everything that the developers did, because what they did shook the industry. And look at how much everyone would complain about their game, and all that did was just basically push their game even more. And like, did anyone not realize that? And it was like free marketing for them. And it was like, you don't want to play this game. It's cheap. It's cheap, affordable, and fun. You don't want it. Please don't buy it. This is unrealistic. Come on. And I'm pretty sure just like the first Hollow Knight, it's going to have a bunch of secrets and interesting factoids inside of it, and people who are essentially just masochists are going to like play the game on the craziest difficulties and try to get everything, and they'll be rewarded for it and they'll enjoy it. And so it's doing strong right now, Steam number wise. And so it's just ridiculous to me that now we're in an age where essentially you have most of the developers who use Unreal Engine 5 trying to blame the engine for the fact that they're constantly having studios and executives tell them to push a game out as fast as possible, done in the shortest amount of time and as cheap as possible. And then for whatever reason, when the game doesn't work on optimized settings because everyone doesn't have the latest and greatest gear, that's the engine's fault. It has nothing to do with the developers basically being shitty developers. So the fact that that's going on right now, and the fact that you have Hollow Knight doing what it did and it causing such an upset, I enjoy that. I enjoy that because we need those things. We needed the Stop Killing Games initiative. We need Hollow Knight to be at a $20 price tag and an indie game that's blowing AAA titles out the water right now. You need that to happen in gaming. And so I hope people learn from this and then they keep pushing forward with other things like this, because that's the only way we're going to get some type of change out of this shit. Because otherwise we're going to be stuck with the AAA games industry just having Randy Pitchford going around telling everybody that basically there's nothing wrong with Borderlands 4. The performance issues are that's just you not playing the game correctly, and you broke. Just dumb shit. And it's like you will keep getting that in exchange for just quality games, which is what everybody wants. That's it. So yeah, all in all, Hollow Knight 2 Silksong, or Hollow Knight Silksong, however you want to call it, Hollow Knight 2, whatever, the game with the stick ladies, it did bad. I wish nothing but the success for this game, and I'm glad that the team was able to release a game that essentially caused this much upset for just doing basic shit. So it's like I couldn't be more happier and willing to praise something like that. So yeah, good on you, Mike.